Have you ever found yourself in a predicament that when you made it out, you knew without a shadow of doubt that divine intervention was the only logical reason that you came out alive? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a firm believer that no one is coming to save us, and that we must be the change that we wish to see in the world, and that we have the power within to create our own reality. But I also believe that there are some circumstances that can only be attributed to the mighty hand of providence. So allow me to be clear. Every single person in the world and under the sound of my voice at this moment has a purpose. When I was 14 years old, I was watching The Simpsons in my bedroom with my brothers, but the weatherman kept interrupting us. Tornado watch this, tornado warning that. He disrupted my show so many times that I said, man, forget this, and I decided to take a nap. But as I slept, I was then disturbed by violent winds beating and pounding on my window pane. So I got out of bed, walked over to the window, looked outside, and I saw this plastic bag just floating ever so gently in the air. For whatever reason, I thought that was cool. So I went to the next room to call my brothers, but by the time we made it back to the window, we saw a huge, monstrous tornado about 50 yards away heading straight in our direction. So we ran. But by the time I could take one step out of my bedroom, the roof started getting ripped off the house, the windows were breaking, the doors were flying off the hinges, and we found ourselves praying upstairs in the guest bedroom in fear for our lives. We were trapped upstairs. Now, did you hear what I just said? We were trapped upstairs with the roof flying off. The bed that I was sleeping in was filled with shattered glass. The TV that I was watching was long gone. And there was a hot tub at the ground floor just right outside of my bedroom. That thing got tossed like a frisbee into someone else's backyard over 100 yards away. I must have a purpose for living. My first job as a teenager was at a fast food restaurant named Whataburger. I had a slow start at first, but I eventually was able to gain the trust of my managers and team leads, and I was able to work on all shifts. Now, if you ever worked in fast food, then you know that the busiest time of the entire day is on the graveyard shift after the club closes. Drive-through lines get wrapped around the building, and the dining room gets filled with drunken strangers just urging to put some food in their stomachs. As a matter of fact, it was on the graveyard shift that I had tasted coffee for the first time, and it was weird. The rush had came and went, and I had a few more hours left in my shift, so I decided to try it out. So I went to the counter, grabbed a small cup, poured some coffee, poured some creamer, and 1 pack of sugar. I stirred it up, and I took a sip, and I lied to you not, it tasted like I just licked the back of a motorcycle tire. I'm telling you. It was disgusting. So I turned around, grabbed another pack of sugar, poured it into the cup, stirred it up, took a sip, and it was still nasty. So I turned around, grabbed another pack of sugar, poured it into the cup. But by the time I turned to face the register, a huge Latino male with a blue bandana wrapped around his face rushed me with a gun pointed to my head. "Where's the manager? Where's the manager?" he screamed. And as he was walking towards me, I was backing back, and I almost ended up sitting on the hot grill. But by the time we had got that far, he turned the gun on the drive-through lady and demanded that she give him all the money. Now, my managers were working the back grill, but they were already long gone out the back door. I decided to go to the back to see where they were hiding, but when I realized that they had actually left the building, I thought to myself, man, I can't leave this woman in here alone. So I made my way back to the front of the store. The robber turned the gun on me once again, and then I just put my hands up and said, "Okay, you got what you wanted. Please don't hurt us." So he proceeded to take the entire register and run out the store, never to be found again. Now, this happened in Arlington, Texas. But just 2 weeks later, a McDonald's in Dallas, Texas was robbed and a store employee was shot dead. Why else would my life be spared if I didn't have a purpose for living? Why else would my life be spared if I didn't have a purpose for living? You see, God spared my life time and time again. And up until now, I sound like some innocent victim standing here talking to you. But the truth is, in my adolescence, I was involved in criminal street gang activity. I was in fist fights about every other weekend, kicked out of school, jumping people, selling weed, and to top it off, drive-bys. As a lost teen, that was a lifestyle that was around me, and that was a lifestyle that had become appealing to me. Now, I don't know what it's like where you're from, but in Arlington, Texas, once a party's over or once the club closes, our custom is to go kick it at a local park, and that's just what me and my homeboys did this one night. Now, there was a lot of people out that night, and we knew most of them, and there were 4 of us, so me and my cousin went one way, and my younger brother and my homeboy went another way. And so we're walking through the crowd, chopping it up with people we know, shaking hands. But after about 5 minutes or so, everyone at the park started rushing towards my younger brother and my homeboy. Now, me and my cousin, we didn't know what the commotion's about, but once we got over there, then we seen it. Standing just a few feet in front of my younger brother were 3 guys and too many others to count behind him, posting up and talking tough. Now, again, we didn't know what the commotion was about, but by the time I got there, the first thing that came to my mind was to pull out my gun, cock it back, and point it at either of the main 3 standing there. Immediately, someone in the crowd screamed, "He got a gun!" And so everybody took off and started running. But in the midst of the commotion, I pulled the trigger, click, but no bang. Click, click. Out of frustration, my younger brother snatched the gun away from me, pointed it at them, click, but no bang. And so we hopped in the car and left. Now, the next morning, I got on the phone and I called my homeboy who had sold me the gun. I said, "Hey man, look, man, we was in a situation last night. The gun jammed up. Bottom line, I need my money back." But he said to me, "Come scoop me up." So I drove to his house, picked him up. And by the time, when he got in my car, he started doing some crazy stuff like he was some kind of gun expert in my car. He started taking off this part, taking off that part, examining it this way. But by the time he had pointed the gun at my glove compartment and was about to squeeze the trigger, I said, "Hey man, hold up. Hold up." The last thing that he did was place the gun outside of my window, point it up towards the sky, and fire off 3 rounds. Bow, bow, bow. And it was at that moment that I realized that I could have been, should have been locked up in prison for the rest of my life for homicide. Now, do you think that all these events played out the way they did simply due to mere chance? Or is there a great God that exists who was able to intervene and preserve his purpose for our lives? You see, I could have been killed by natural disasters. I was robbed at gunpoint, and I got to the point where I was sabotaging my own life, for goodness sakes. But God knew that this same young man who was innocent, who was a victim, who became a fool, he knew that this same young man was going to be a vessel to do mighty things for the kingdom of God and for the betterment of mankind. My charge to you is that you look over the course of events of your life and just consider, where would I be had it not been for the saving grace of providence? My charge to you is that you make a decision today to play an active role in shaping your life for the better. And you see, this is why this course was created in the first place. Right where you're sitting, if you're willing to take that step with me today, repeat after me. I am ready.